Evening folks, and welcome back to the WTF, and this is a bit of a follow-up video on the Harrison M300, and I probably ought to begin this video by saying da. So as you remember from the last video, I got this lathe which was in a bit of a sorry state, and I thought this would be my winter project, but to be honest with you, I've managed to clean it up within about 3 to 4 weeks. And so far it looks pretty good. So what I thought I would do is just give you a quick, well, I'll give you a demo and also a bit of a close-up on what I've done to get the lathe from what it was into this state. And I think my suspicions were correct with this, is that, you know, although it looked really bad, it has cleaned up reasonably well, and from what I can tell, it does seem to work, and that the important parts of the lathe, the bed, carriage, and all the rest of it seem to be pretty much okay. Anyhow, let's just take a closer look, and I'll show you some of the highlights of what we did on this to get it back into this sort of state. So as you can see, we are making progress with the Harrison M300 in cleaning it up. I've managed to give the ways a really good clean up. Now, if you remember what they looked like on the previous video, they are definitely a lot better, and they actually look quite presentable. I basically used a bit of a combination of Scotch-Brite, a bit of wire wool, WD-40, a bit of brake cleaning fluid, and I think they've come up really nice and shiny now compared to what they were. There is just one thing which I'm not sure whether it's a concern or not. Where is it now? Somewhere along here. Was it on this way? Yeah, this way here. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little bit of pitting, which was probably from the corrosion. Now, whether that will make much difference or not, I'm not sure. The actual ways here feel quite good, and also on this side they feel very nice, so hopefully there's no wear. I think in general, apart from the odd bit of pitting, there's another bit there. I don't know if you can see that just here. You know, whether that will make a difference or not, it's really difficult to tell. But other than that, they've come up quite nicely. I think what's interesting though, which I wanted to show you, is just how neglected this was. I think one of the YouTube comments that I got on the first video was this could possibly be a government piece of equipment, and this is what I've got to deal with. Look at all this, it's just years and years of swarf. I mean, nobody's bothered to take the front of the swarf tray out, or the coolant tray, and just clean all this out. I mean, it comes out very easily. It's just got a couple of gnarled screws that go in there, and you can unscrew them by hand, so it's not as though it's a big deal to remove. And nobody has just bothered to clean this thing at all. I mean, it's absolutely disgraceful for a piece of equipment like this. So that's going to be my task, is to clean all this crap out of here, and I'm probably going to give this a coat of paint and clean it all up. The other thing I didn't show on the last video was the, I don't know if you can see it in there, that's the coolant motor pump. I'll probably end up taking that out. And then the other thing we've got to do is clean up this mess. So this is the area where the coolant sort of drains into, and then it's sort of collected by the coolant pump in the corner there. And some of this fluid here is actually, I actually took a pressure washer to the lathe to clean up all the crap that was on the surfaces, especially where the fan belts are. Those have come out quite nicely actually, because that was covered in all sorts of black gunge. And some of the fluid that some of the water has collected in there, so I'm going to have to sort of get that out somehow, probably with a vacuum cleaner, and then give it a really good clean. Probably might have to give it another pressure wash. So there we are. Anyhow, we'll keep battling with this and getting it all cleaned up. I'm just putting my gloves on for this. So this is the rear of the lathe, and the stuff that's coming out here is absolutely disgusting. I'm just literally scraping this sort of treacle of, I suppose it's swarf and oil and God knows what else, coolant fluid. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just like scooping out treacle. Back in the day when I used to do general surgery, I think I've done manual evacuations of constipated patients which have been cleaner than this. This is really disgusting. Always begs the question, as you know, if you've got a piece of equipment like this, why can't you just take the back off it and every now and again scoop out all this gunge? It's really like thick treacle. Anyhow, let's have a look. I'm getting most of it out. It's coming out quite easily. Literally everywhere. I think probably what we'll have to do is take the pressure washer to this again, I think, just to give it a clean up. The coolant fluid pump, it looks a little bit inaccessible. It's down in a compartment right down there, you can't really see it. Somehow I think we'll have to take that out as well and give that area a good old clean. Anyway, that's what we've got, a lot of gunge. So as you can see, we are making a bit of progress on the old Harrison M300. We've sort of cleaned up all the slideways and everything. One of the things I ought to do is have a look inside the headstock. There's no reason to suspect there's any problem here, but I think I'm going to remove that and have a quick look inside just to make sure everything's okay. This one was a little bit on the loose side. So I've taken the top of the headstock off, and as you can see, the inside of this headstock gearbox actually looks really good. There's plenty of oil in there, although it is a bit on the low side. Probably have to top it up. Could probably have to make up a new gasket there. But apart from that, these gears look actually pretty good. Everything's in pretty pristine condition, which I suppose is what you'd expect from a machine of this age. But it's always quite important to look at this because, you know, you don't know, we don't know the history of it, so we don't know what's happened, and somebody might have knackered this, but it actually looks really good. So that's really encouraging. This is the gears in the apron, which again also look pretty good. It doesn't seems to be a bit low on oil, but I've sort of had a look at this, and it again there's no sort of horrors in here. All the gears and the cogs look pretty good, which is reassuring. So probably have to put a new gasket on there, and when we get the carriage back on, hopefully it should be all okay. So with this lathe, I mean, I could have gone really to town with it in terms of stripping it all down and cleaning every single nut and bolt, but in the end I didn't think that was really necessary. Given its age, which is 2009, I really just concentrated on the bits that were worst affected by the neglect and the major lathe safeguarding concern that we got when we got this thing. Anyhow, so as you may remember, a lot of the ways were quite rusted, and you know, all that came off quite easily with a bit of Scotch-Brite and lots of jet fuel, kerosene, which we got plenty of at the WTF. So most of these parts, like the saddle, the compound, I'll get it right this time, the cross slide, I took all those apart, gave them a thorough cleaning with Scotch-Brite and lots of kerosene. The tailstock, I didn't really take that apart. I had a look underneath it, and it was in pretty clean condition actually. So that's just had a bit of a clean up, and I've given it sort of everything a bit of a cosmetic coat of paint. Again, I haven't really gone to town on this because I haven't stripped off any of the lead screws and the drives for the apron. I didn't really need to do all that. So as you can see, most of it all works pretty well. It feels got quite nice motion on there, and the saddle and everything. I had to repair that handle down there. This was broken, you may remember, so I had to re-weld that. And if we have a look at the headstock, I have replaced and repainted some of the knobs. When I say replace these little plastic inserts. There was a couple of those missing, which I managed to replace, and everything's been given a little bit of a coating of black paint to make them all nice and shiny again. The chuck, you may recall, was in a pretty horrid condition. This isn't the original chuck that's on it. That's a 4-jaw chuck, which I actually bought new. The other chuck polished up reasonably well, but had quite a bit of a run out in it. So I thought I would go and get a 4-jaw chuck, which is actually proved to be quite good. What else? A few other points which I'll show you. I'll have to move the camera, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. So looking along the length of the lathe, you can see the ways which I've managed to clean up, and as mentioned, the swarf tray and the coolant tray was really the worst affected on this. It was absolutely in a gopping condition, and it has actually cleaned up reasonably well. The other thing which I've done on this is I've replaced the fan belts. When I took this splash guard off, the fan belts, the drive belts from the motor are behind there, and so it was a good opportunity to replace those. One of them was a bit spliced up, but all in all it was fairly straightforward to replace those, and the fan belts were quite, or drive belts were quite cheap. So in order to get the lathe to work, as mentioned on the first video, it's a 3-phase unit. So we've got one of these Machine Mart phase converters, and if you want to know how one of these works, it's basically a big auto transformer stepping up the voltage to 415 volts, and then the horsepower selector there is essentially switching in different sizes of capacitors. So this is nothing really fancy. It's a sort of pseudo 3-phase unit which shifts the one of the AC lines slightly in phase, so that the motor thinks it's getting 3-phase when actual fact it's getting well, supposedly, I suppose, 2-phase. So it's an old trick which is being put into a fancy box, but it does work, and we can give you a quick demo of this. I think my battery's on the way out, so I'll probably have to charge up my camera battery, and then we will give you a quick demo of the lathe in action. I've actually tried to do a little bit of experimentation. This is my first attempt at facing off a piece of aluminium, and that piece of aluminium actually came with the lathe, so that was a little freebie. I think there was a few bits and bobs in one of the drawers of previous practice attempts, so that's my attempt at facing off. So I'm getting there. I've done a few little tricks, well, I won't say tricks, a few little jobs with it to practice. Obviously I'm a bit new to all this, so I thought it would be a good idea. Anyhow, let me just recharge this battery. We'll be back soon, and we'll fire the thing up for you. So I'll just quickly turn this thing on, and we'll see that it does actually work. We might even try a little bit of machining. I've got a block of aluminium round piece of alley, so we can practice a bit of facing off, which is where I'm at the moment. Haven't tried much else other than that. Anyway, let's fire it up, see what happens. And it goes reverse as well. So there we are. It sounds pretty good, actually. I didn't really have many fears that the gearbox and everything and the motor and all that type of thing was at fault. And as you can hear, it sounds pretty good. Anyhow, let's try something else. So I'm going to give this a bit of a whirl, and I'm going to try facing off this piece of aluminium. See how it comes out. As I said, I'm a bit of a beginner at this, so not quite sure how it's going to work. Anyhow, let's just try this and see what happens. Choke the bars. Well, it sort of came out. Let's have a look. Let's just open this. I couldn't get the camera at the right angle, so just reel that one back. I've locked the saddle, so I'll have to just unlock that. There's lots of nuts and bolts to undo on a lathe, which I am sort of finding out. If we can well, there we are. That's my facing off attempt. Let's just get that in focus. Doesn't look too bad. It's quite smooth. It's a pity I couldn't get the angle right with the camera, but the compound and everything's in the way, so you can't really see it. But trust me, it wasn't one that I did earlier. I just did this now, and I'm getting better at this. Actually, I'm sort of getting the feel for it. But the guys on YouTube make this look easy. Playing around with the lathe does take a bit of practice. Believe me, it's not as easy as it looks. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video of the M300 and what I've done with it, and as I said, hopefully I've got a lot to learn with it. This is just the beginning. I'm quite pleased it's turned out the way it has, and hopefully over the next few weeks I can get my head around it and we'll use it for a few projects. I am actually going to use it. I found a use for it for the LG300 power supply. I've got a few bits of aluminium which I'm hoping to use this to drill centres for and things like that. So a lot of projects coming up, and hope you enjoyed it and hope to catch you again soon. Cheers for now.